Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about the election of 1840 and the changes that come to the nation as a result. I'm going to start right away by sharing the screen with you and bringing up our presentation here. Get it set to the beginning. And let's get it started. Okay, so we're talking about the election of 1840, and it's important before we get started to remember the turmoil caused by the end of Andrew Jackson's presidency. Andrew Jackson's presidency ends with him destroying the National Bank, taking all federal money from the National Bank and depositing it in local, state, pet banks or wildcat banks. He then issues the Specie Circular, which required gold or silver be used to pay for all land. Banks are quickly going to run out of gold and silver because people are going to run to the banks to demand that they get that gold and silver from their deposits. And that's going to cause the Panic of 1837, which is a complete economic depression where more than 33% of Americans are out of work. Banks close, industry is almost destroyed in the country. And all of this is going to be blamed on not Jackson, but Jackson's successor, Martin Van Buren. And there are some reasons why Van Buren deserves some of the blame. But to be clear, the policies that caused the Panic of 1837 are all instituted by Andrew Jackson. Now, when the election of 1840 rolls around, by this time there has been a complete split in the Republican Party. And Henry Clay and Daniel Webster both decide to form a new political party around the idea that the government needs to help the people with the economy. Now, transversely, the president, Van Buren, believed that the economy would improve all by itself if it was just left alone. And he was a believer in this idea that the economy is cyclical. It cycles around and it'll continue to grow and be strong, and then it'll hit some bad points, but it'll come back around all by itself. And that's going to be the number one issue that's going to come up in this election of 1840. But the Whig Party, this new political party, and they borrowed this name, the Whigs, from a British political party, is going to try and manipulate the election in a number of different ways. So just to review a little bit and to talk a little more. During Jackson's war on the National Bank, Clay and Webster and other Jackson opponents formed the Whig Party. The Whigs believed that the president's power had grown far too big under President Jackson and also under Van Buren. The Whigs believed that the president's power was too big. As a result, they started to call Jackson King Andrew. This is a famous political cartoon you see here on the side. We're going to be looking at this again after the test, portraying Jackson as a king holding a scepter. He's holding a veto in his hand. He's stepping on the Constitution on the ground, among some other things. We'll get to those things as we move forward. And in 1840, the Whigs believed that they could win this election by choosing William Henry Harrison, another war hero from the War of 1812, a resident of Ohio, and someone who was a Western settler, to be the next president of the United States, and his running mate would be John Tyler of Virginia. Again, William Henry Harrison had a strong military career. He had a good military career. He was well known because of his military career, but he wasn't particularly a politician. He had defeated the Shawnee at the Battle of Tippecanoe. He'd become a hero during the War of 1812. The Whigs are going to make the most of his military record and his nickname, Old Tippecanoe. And the phrase Tippecanoe and Tyler too becomes the campaign slogan of the election of 1840 for the Whig Party. Now, they also tried to take a couple of tools out of Jackson's toolbox and portray Harrison as the common man and the candidate for the common people. Now, to be clear, William Henry Harrison was born in Virginia. His father was a wealthy plantation owner, but he had moved to the frontier in Ohio and settled on a farm so they could play off of that. They said he was a true Westerner, William Henry Harrison, and they used symbols of the frontier to present him as a common man. And they used this idea of hard cider, log cabins, and hard cider as another one of his campaign slogans, again, to appeal to the common man, as Jackson did. The Whigs are going to contrast Harrison with the current president, Martin Van Buren, who's a wealthy New Yorker. They hope voters will see this contrast and see that Harrison can relate to their problems better than this guy can. Harrison's out there promising that he's going to do things to help the people, where Van Buren is saying everything's going to be fine, the economy's going to fix itself, don't worry about it. And Harrison is going to win a close election. It's close in the popular vote, it's close in the Electoral College, but he's going to win a majority of the electoral votes. And in March of 1841, William Henry Harrison is going to give a 2-hour-long inaugural address on a cold, rainy March day, much like the day on Monday in New Jersey, but colder. And he's going to do it without wearing a hat or a coat, because he wanted to show he was a manly guy and that he was a tough frontiersman. Comes down with a cold. That cold turns to pneumonia. And 1 month after being inaugurated, William Henry Harrison dies. He's going to be the first president to die in office, and his death makes John Tyler of Virginia the president of the United States. I'm going to stop the lecture here, and we'll move on with our assignments in class.